The following program is a production of WLRN.
Dum 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 be dooby dum 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 be dooby dum 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 be dooby dum wah 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 wah.
Miami's the greatest place in the world.
It was paradise. It was just spectacular. It was gorgeous. I said, man, I'm in love. Whatever I'm going to do with my life, I'm going to do it right here.
Well, Miami became a center of national music phenomena. If you wanted to become well known, you needed to come to Miami.
It was just being transposed into this magical never land of entertainment. It was wonderful.
This area was fabulous for music because there was any kind of music you wanted to hear. There was someplace in the area that you could actually hear it. And it was just a great melting pot of music and a great place to grow musically.
Miami was like a mecca. Everything happened in Miami. It was the center of the entertainment world, really. I don't think there was another town in America that had the wide variety of music that this town afforded to people.
That era, to me, was the best era. But I think Miami's still a melting pot and still a great source of music and a place to be.
Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I met you like a man on a buggy train. My friend saying like this, why did you bug a man alone? I'm all shook up. Yeah. I want my hands to shake and my knees are weak. I can't seem to stand on my own two feet. Who do you think when you have such a lucky man alone?
As we see, Miami Beach is a city of hotels, nearly 400 of them, beside the beaches and amid the palms of lusciously landscaped islands. A city where work and play can be combined in the greatest ease and comfort. A community not only of modern lodgings, but also of picturesque swimming pools, smooth beaches, and limitless vistas over a dimpling ocean of deepest blue. Truly an entrancing city.
When I came here in 1960, this was a whole different place than it is now, as you can well imagine. There was no I-95. If you wanted to go to Fort Lauderdale, you went up A1A or US 1. You know, it was a whole different place.
It was nice, it was sunshine, it was then a real small town. You kind of knew everybody in this town.
Miami was a great vacation place and tourist place at that time, so also the name entertainment would end up down here, either working or vacationing.
Television probably was the godfather of the music business in South Florida because one of the big Monday night shows was Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts.
Arthur Godfrey was a very famous entertainer in the 1940s and 50s. He started having a show from the Kenilworth Hotel with the McGuire sisters, which were really big record entertainment people, very popular music entertainers. And they would always wear tropical clothes, like he had a Hawaiian dancer that was on. And I remember as a Miami, we were really proud that this national televised show in the early days of television was being broadcast from Miami Beach.
And now, here's that man himself, Arthur Godfrey.
Just sing, what a glorious feeling. I'm happy here. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. Sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let stormy clouds chase everyone from the place.
He was the spearhead of bringing attention to Miami Beach. But Miami Beach needed only a little push, because when you came down here and you saw it on television, everybody wanted to be here.
To dream all alone. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no
In those days, it was phenomenal down here. You couldn't miss making money. It was the place.
In a world of my own, I play the game, but to my real shame.
Morris Landsberg and Sam Cohn were hoteliers, and they built the Deauville Hotel. They were the quintessential hoteliers of the time.
Morris Landsberg was one of the owners of the Deauville. He also owned a whole string of hotels on Miami Beach.
Sam Cohen is my uncle. He is the oldest son. The family came, there were 7 brothers and sisters from New York. All of us are owners of the hotels. We owned the Versailles, the Sans Souci, the Crown, the Saxony. He owned the Eden Rock a few years after it was built. I think we had 8 hotels at one time, but the Deauville was the biggest.
Every hotel, even the little places, had bands. Doral had a band. The Carillon, bands with shows. The Fontainebleau had always half a dozen different bands. The Eden Rock, the Deauville, the Diplomat, the Americana, they all had bands. I don't mean little trios. These were 8, 9, 10, 12, 15-piece bands.
Miami's music scene for me in those years was the lounges and the clubs over in Miami Beach.
The beach was packed like a Broadway every night. There was a whole lot of clubs, and they all did good business, so it was a hot street.
We work in the same way, only in different areas. Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so. Those fingers in my hair, that's why I come hither stare. That strips my conscience bare its wishbone. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. It's such an ancient pitch, what I would switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than witchcraft. I love you, and I always will. For my darling, I love you. Man, that's pretty. And I always will.
Every act in show business had to work Miami Beach in the winter. If you didn't work Miami Beach, you had a bad agent. I mean,
Johnny Mathis,
Connie Francis,
Cap Calloway,
Sinatra and the Rat Pack,
Bobby Vinton,
Josephine Baker,
Tony Bennett,
Debbie Reynolds,
the Everly Brothers,
Judy Garland,
Aretha Franklin.
I worked one time at the Fontainebleau as a trumpet player in the band, and we had 3 weeks of Sinatra when he was going with Mia Farrow and he was singing all those great bossa novas and everything, and then backed up with 2 weeks of Tony Bennett. I mean, that was 5 of the best musical weeks I ever spent in my life.
And I've got no defense for it. The heat is too intense for it. What good would common sense for it do? 'Cause it's
My very first act I played was Frank Sinatra. This was at the Eden Rock, my first year here. And then the next year, I went to the Deauville, where I stayed for 5 years. And there I played Sammy Davis, the Supremes, Fifth Dimension, Danny Thomas. Did I mention Milton Berle?
There's a boat that's leaving soon for New York.
Some of them were accessible and would talk to the guys in the band. Sammy Davis particularly was very, very personable. Milton Berle would come in and have coffee with us, and he spent more time in our dressing room than he did in his own. And then some of them were not accessible at all.
I had a four-piece band, a dance band, and we were appearing at a private party at the Empress Hotel on the same night that the Fontainebleau was having its grand opening. So I said, I'm going up to the opening of the Fontainebleau. I said, well, how are you going to get in? I don't know. I said, well, it's by invitation only. You'll never get in. So I walked right up to the front door, and there were all kinds of security guards all over. And they were right. I was not going to easily get in. Walking dejected back down the driveway, in this long line waiting to get in was the biggest television star of all time, Milton Berle. And he was with his wife and a couple of other people. So I decided to just then walk along next to him. I didn't bother him. I didn't say anything to him until we got to the guy at security at the door. And at that point, I turned to Berle and I started a conversation. He didn't know who I was. And it was probably, if I think back long enough, it was probably one of those go away, kid, you bother me kind of reactions. So I walked in because, oh, Mr. Berle, and we went right in.
All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose.
Parallel to that music scene on Miami Beach, there was a big music scene over here on this end of town at the Mr. James Club, the Sir John Night Beat, Hampton Inn, and those were all R&B clubs and jazz clubs.
Overtown in the 50s and 60s was a remarkable place. It was a vibrant place, very busy. As you know, in the 50s, we were still under segregation laws where blacks and whites did not cohabitate in any form or fashion.
When I grew up, Overtown was the bomb. The reason why I said the bomb, because it was always exploding. It was always something happening. 2nd Avenue, where the clubs and the hotel and the happenings was, the lights was glittering. And as soon as I got to 2nd Avenue and 11th Street, with nothing but hotels and lights.
Hotels were established. There were a lot of clubs, a lot of societies, a lot of other things that normally we see today, but in the black area that did service to the black people. This place was a busy downtown metropolis.
What was different was that the entertainers who would come, the celebrities who would come from all over, would not be able to live or to stay on Miami Beach. And so they would come to entertain on Miami Beach, but they would have to live in Overtown.
Since the blacks were not allowed to live or seek residency in the hotels on Miami Beach, a lot of times after they performed their last set over on the beach, they would come over to Overtown. Here you would have the clubs such as the Sir John, the Rockland Palace, you would have clubs, the Mary Elizabeth, the Cobb. You have these different hotels that were lined with people waiting to see Count Basie come from over in Miami Beach just to perform and have a jam session, waiting to see B.B. King come over from Miami Beach and perform, waiting to see Patti LaBelle come over and perform, Dionne Warwick. It's just a plethora of artists. And also in the crowd, you would see a lot of the white patrons waiting to see these jam sessions. And the jam sessions would go on all night long.
I remember when I was working at the Eden Rock in '61, Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet were working in the main room. I was still in the lounge, and I said, "Do you want to go to a place that you really enjoy?" And I took Steve and Edie to the Night Beat. And they're sitting there, and like Steve Lawrence was like, and Edie Gourmet just got into it and went, she was going insane. She says, "This is the most unbelievable, greatest thing I've ever seen." They hadn't been exposed to it. You know, "I've got you under mask." They didn't do that down there. That wasn't their job. You know, they just sang. It was all heart. It was all something that I loved, and I wanted to be a part of, and I loved very much.
One of the famous shows that I remember seeing was when Aretha Franklin performed. Sister Girl turned it out. She had people rolling out the seats, lined up at the door just to shake her hand, you know, and that sits and holds with me very dear. See, a good entertainer will not let you sit down. You're gonna get up out of that seat and you're gonna get with the program. The Lady of Soul is certainly Miss Aretha Franklin.
White singers of the time wanted to sing like black singers. We idolized them. To us, they were who you emulated. I mean, they had the soul, and we wanted to be like them. I mean, I didn't know who this guy was, but I'm sitting there and somebody is singing like I never heard anybody sing before in my life. And this guy, he'd be singing, and when he sang, it would touch your heart. And then he'd play, and he'd be looking like this. And I said, how in the world does he know where to put his hands? And that was the first time I saw Ray Charles. I don't know, he was just, he was an energy.
The music scene that I basically was involved with was over in Overtown, where the Mary Elizabeth Hotel was. I went down to see Sam Cooke, who was a very good friend of mine. And Sam was down and he introduced me to Ray Charles. And we were talking, and he said he'd like to make some records. I said, fine, I have a little studio in the back of my distributing place. So he came over and we cut 4 sides.
Florida.
Things I cut with Ray were blues, sort of on a blues style.
Well, you can hear all type of music in Overtown, from gospel to jazz to R&B to blues.
Oh, baby.
Jazz was a big thing. R&B, and then, you know, B.B. King was coming out with blues, and Count Basie and his big band. I mean, there was so many genres of music that was being broadcast at the different venues because of all the clubs that were lined along 2nd Avenue and also in the surrounding area.
And at one point, there were at least 15 or 20 nightclubs. Some were inside hotels, like the Zebra Room that was inside the Mary Elizabeth, and many others were standalone nightclubs. But at one point or another, they always got Clyde Killens because of his managerial skills.
Clyde Killens was, and this is my personal description of him. He was a modern-day Don King or a Puff Daddy.
Clyde was an entrepreneur, a businessman with vision, and anybody can have ideas, but beyond his ideas, he was able to make them happen. And he really became the manager of every hotel in Overtown at some time or another.
That man was pure as pure could be as far as the music and running that club was concerned. He worked morning, noon, and night to keep that place going well, and it went just fine, thanks to him. Oh, and others too, but he was the man. He was a hard working man who did a whole lot, not just for the Night Beat, Sir John too, and Overtown, period.
There was a lot that was learned from the black performers.
Charlie Snob, how you feeling? Charlie, I didn't expect you here. Frank didn't tell me.
You're a writer.
Hey, what about that? You want to do something?
Yes, I came. I thought maybe I'd dance a little.
You want what?
What? I'd like to dance a little with you.
Did you hear that, fellas? He wants to dance. Take a chance. He wants to dance. He's going to dance with a dancing man. He wants to dance with a dancing man. Oh, what's wrong? Well, you want to dance with me, really?
Yes, I would
well,
like to.
will you help us out, Nelson, please? You're asking for dynamite now. I'm warning you. I'll watch it. Shall we dance? Shall we lay down some leather? Shall we wail? Shall we fly? Shall we make us some music, you and I?
And eventually it became integrated, and the segregation really was only offstage. It was away from the clubs. It was away from the theaters.
I do remember, though, when Marian Anderson sang at the Dade County Auditorium in 1954, that was the first integrated entertainment venue, really, in Miami, where people actually sat together in the same place. And she refused to sing in Miami unless they integrated. So that was the beginning. And slowly, slowly after that, it began to happen.
Even at the Olympia Theater, the black performers appeared there. And they were wonderful, and they brought down the house, and the audience would cheer for them.
I remember going to the Olympia Theater in vaudeville, and that was probably as a teenager, the best date in town was to go to the Olympia.
The Olympia Theater was one of the great movie palaces. It was built in 1926. And when you went into the Olympia, all of your troubles went away. Anything that was worrying you or anything that was bothering you was gone. And you walked into this magical, mystical kind of a place, the old movie palace. And then a wonderful guy by the name of Al Weiss, who was working for what became Florida State Theaters, said we ought to bring back vaudeville. And so they started doing it, and it was a tremendous success, and it went on until 1955.
The earliest live entertainment that I ever saw in my life was on the stage of the Olympia Theater.
Normally, the star of the show was a very famous recording artist or a big-time comedian. And then there were 4 other acts. Might have been a juggler, might have been a dance team, might have been an adagio act, and the stage show lasted for 1 hour. And it was the most fantastic form of entertainment, in my opinion, that ever existed.
Jackie Gleason was at the Olympia. I didn't know at the time that he was going to become famous, but he was a stand-up comic at the Olympia early on. But then some of the well-known people like Vic Damone, that was popular in the 50s, was there, and Rosemary Clooney, who was a really big entertainer in the 1950s. Of course, the aunt of George Clooney, of fame today, she was there.
Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness.
first time I saw Rosemary was at the Olympia Theater. She came on our radio show, and I interviewed her. And she ended up putting me and another two of the kids, I think, that were on that show, into the cab with her and took us back to the Olympia in time for the 4 o'clock show, sat us down front, and did a whole big number to the audience about this radio show that she had just done with us, and asked us all to stand up and turn around and take a bow into the spotlight. Well, I thought I was in the big time, you know. And that friendship started in 1951 and went on until she passed away a couple of years ago. We had a 51-year, very close friendship.
I was totally fascinated by the phenomena of Elvis Presley. I'd never seen anything like it before in my life.
I found out through my cousins that Elvis Presley was going to be playing at the Olympic Theater. So we took a bus from Hollywood down to Flagler Street, and we saw the show. And it was really amazing. I couldn't believe it. The girls were just screaming. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
And I shall never forget standing there all excited as a teenage girl when people came out from the first show and they were carrying pieces of his clothing. And I thought, oh my, what is this?
And the girls would actually get up from the seats and try to touch him and leap over the stage. Well, some of his bodyguards or the people that were guarding the stage would actually catch these girls in midair like this. Then they would carry them off. You know?
It was just absolutely amazing to watch the energy on the stage that night. And I had a pretty good seat. I was pretty near the front. And it was more than, I mean, I liked his music, but it was a phenomenon to watch. The people yelling and screaming and tearing his coat off. I mean, it was an unbelievable scene.
Apple tree, shake, shake, sugar, but you'll never take me. No, sir, I'm gonna stick like glue. Stick because I'm just I'm gonna run my fingers through your long black hair, squeeze you tighter than a grizzly bear. Yes, sir. I'm gonna stick like glue. Stick because
A lot of people think all the nightclubs were on Miami Beach, but we had a lot of nightclubs in the city that brought in a lot of big names and some great, great entertainment. Right on Biscayne Boulevard, one of the biggest clubs that played the biggest names in show business was called the Clover Club. And, they played Tony Martin and Johnny Ray and Dick Haymes and the biggest names. There was, up the street from the Clover Club, there was a place called the Vagabonds Club. And the Vagabonds were a big act that had been discovered by Arthur Godfrey. They did 2 shows a night in that club, and you couldn't get in there. That place was always mobbed.
We owned a nightclub in New York called the Peppermint Lounge, which was a rock and roll nightclub. We opened that in 1958. We did a very, very good business with that. And it was, you could maybe call it maybe the first rock and roll nightclub in New York City. So anyway, when we opened up, now after a few weeks, we knew that this was gonna, was gonna continue. So that's when we came to Miami. We brought it down to Miami because, Miami was like a mecca for 3 or 4 months in the winter. Everything happened in Miami. It was the center of the entertainment world, really. So that's what we decided to come down here. We opened up on 79th Street, and we were a big success. One night I was in the office and then Freddie Pace, the maitre d', said, he says, Dick, there's Nat King Cole here to see you. Nat King Cole to see you. You know, I was a kid, you know. I couldn't even believe it. And I loved Nat King Cole besides. So I walked out and there he was, tuxedo, you know, what a gentleman. I says, yeah, no, yes. He says, I'd like you to do me a favor, you know, a favor. What would that be? He says, I would like to sit in with the band. And I couldn't, you know, it didn't register with me. What for? He says, because I want to feel rock and roll. I want to feel what the beat is. And so he would come in there every night and he would play with the band. And one night, Jackie Wilson came in with Sam Cooke. And they saw this, and Sam did not a single, a double, a triple take, because he couldn't believe that Nat King Cole is playing with a band. You know, he's looking, he couldn't believe it. And of course, I made a joke out and played it down. I said, you like my new piano player, you know, and something like that.
I get your kicks on Route 66. Now you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City. That's mighty pretty, you'll see. Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona.
It was very exciting that the Beatles would be here. And of course, Ed Sullivan was also being broadcast from Miami. And so here we had the Beatles live from Miami Beach, Florida. And it was, I think, their second appearance in America.
I ran into George Harrison, and he said that Miami Beach blew their mind because they had been in London, and then they fly to New York, and it was February. So it was lousy weather. And then they get to Miami Beach, and you know, palm trees and sun and beach and the ocean. He said, wow, it blew their minds. Because for 2 days, we snuck them out of the rooms to go down to the ocean, because they wanted to swim. And when we came out, there were about 4,000 kids on the pool deck. And then we just took them right down to the beach, and they swam for 2 days. But then somebody discovered that they were at the beach, and that's when they moved to some gal's house. And they stayed with them for a couple of days.
I grew up in Miami Beach. I spent a lot of time with Billy Pollock. His mom was in show business, and somehow or other, she knew the manager of the Beatles and offered her house for them. We were out back, just playing basketball, kid stuff, and I remember looking through the sliding glass doors, and in walking single file were all the Beatles, and the manager said, he goes, I hope you don't mind if I brought my friends back again. And we looked over and they came right in. I knew that they were there the day before, but total shock. It was an amazing thing to see them walking through the door because you never expected to see them. They immediately came over and we had a pickup game with them. They got right into the game. It's like they were regular people. We were friends. We must have played with them 10, 15 minutes until Jeffrey Stern came down with a rebound in McCartney's eye, elbowed him a little bit, and then it hurt him. And he wasn't really hurt, but they said, okay, we got to start the game now. And then we all just hung around the rest of the day with them.
I was a young teacher at Miami Edison High School, teaching 12th grade government, and I'll never forget, it was my 5th period class, and the Beatles were coming to town, and I went to my 5th period class, and there was nobody there. Just about 2 or 3 kids. Just about the entire class had left to greet the Beatles when they came in to the Miami airport. Years later, when I worked on a film in Miami, I found footage, and there was my 5th period class. Edison was so close to the airport, it was very easy for them to get there, and they just left.
Love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Oh,
Where was I when the Beatles came? Well, let's see. I was at QAM. We had a contest on the radio station, and we chartered a DC-8 from National Airlines, which had about, I guess, 120 seats, and gave away tickets on this flight along with tickets to the Beatle concert at the Gator Bowl, because the Beatles never performed in South Florida except at the Deauville on the beach for Ed Sullivan. And the DJs got to be chaperones because most of the winners were kids. It was young girls who wanted to go see the Beatles. And the Capitol Records promotion guy comes down to where we're seated. He says, hey, you want to meet the Beatles? I say, yeah, that'd be cool. That's all right. And the guy says, okay, come on over here. And he opens up the door, and I'm standing there. I was first in line, and I look inside, and there's Ringo Starr sitting up at the top of the steps, eating a cheeseburger, drinking a Pepsi, having a little snack before the show. So we're introduced, and we shake hands. And as we shake hands, he notices my ring, my initial ring. Well, it's RS, Rick Shaw, Ringo Starr. I never thought about it, but our initials are the same. They call him Ringo because he loves rings. He's a real ring nut. Hey, I want that. How much you want for it? I want that. It's a beautiful ring. I said, man, my wife gave it to me. If I come home without the ring, I'm dead meat. But thanks for wanting it. You know, it was like being the Pope. When I came back, I told the story on the radio, and every place I went, all the little girls wanted to kiss the ring that Ringo wanted to buy.
This magic moment, so different and so new, unlike any other, until I kissed you, and then it happened.
Something new was happening in Miami Beach all the time in that era. And it brought in many, many businesses and many, many friends and boosters to the town.
Hank Meyer was the premier public relations man of the era here in Miami Beach.
I think his biggest contribution was his unending enthusiasm and promotion of all things good about Miami. He was a wonderful man. He was very generous with his time and talents. Anything that would help Miami, he would be involved in. Hank Meyer created the image of Jackie Gleason here in Miami Beach. Now in the 60s, Jackie Gleason was super, super popular on his TV show, very much like Arthur Godfrey was in the 50s.
Hank picked up the phone and called him, didn't know him, and he said, hello, Jackie, this is Hank Meyer. And Jackie said, hi, Hank. And he said, how would you like to play golf 365 days a year? And Jackie said, I'd love it. He said, well, you come on down here and do your shows here, and you can play golf 365 days a year.
But Jackie doesn't fly. So Hank Meyer got the idea, let's do a train. Let's rent a whole train, put some musicians on it, some chorus girls, beautiful girls, a lot of booze, and put Mr. Gleason on there. And how sweet it was that Jackie got on that train, and for 3 days, they partied. When they pulled into Miami, they had done a lot of partying.
He was like a daddy to me, and he really helped us get started. He never went out really to local places, and I always wanted to meet him. So we kept sending him invitations. That would happen. So one week we sent him some flowers. We sent him 10 red roses, 1 white rose, and 1 daisy. I guess so that he came out. He really came, man. And they got to where he came every week. That was the place he came. One of the first big TV shows we were ever on, and he brought all the stars out to see us. They called me at home, Frank Bonetta, who's the director, and they were all fans of ours. I saw you, they came all the time. And he says, hey, Wayne, guess what? You're gonna be on Jackie's show. We talked about it today in the meeting, and it's done. So be thinking about a couple of songs you want to do, and da-da-da. And that's how I wrote Going Back to Miami. I wrote it for the Gleason show, just to perform to. And Jesus, it's been recorded probably more than any song I ever wrote. It's been recorded by 10 different acts over the years.
I'm going back to Miami. Going back to my girl.
I think one of the nicest guys I ever met in my life was Jackie Gleason. He just loved me, and he would sit in the same place every single night after he did his show, And he would go, Joey, play my song. And I would play When You're Alone. He was great, and Art Carney was great too. They would come in and just hang out at the bar and just heckle us, and we loved it.
Miami radio was very influential, primarily because of WQAM. QAM back in those days was the rock and roll radio station in the southern part of the United States. Certainly south of Atlanta, it was the dominant radio station. About 6 months after I went there, they had what they called Hooper ratings. Today it's Arbitron, back then it was Hooper. And I had a 56 share in the Hooper ratings, which meant 56% of the radios that were turned on were tuned to one station. That's just incredible. That's amazing. I think it's the biggest rating number in the history of the market. But that would demonstrate to you the power that radio station had. We could make hits, literally, that would start in South Florida. If you could get a record as our pick hit of the week, which meant it got played once an hour, that was a real honor. And if it was halfway decent, it became a hit. And now you're talking a lot of money. There's an awful lot of money involved in having a hit record. Henry Stone was the president of Tone Distributors, which was a record distribution company here in South Florida, far and away the biggest. And as I said before, if you had a hit record, there was a lot of money to be made. And Henry was there first, and with the biggest, and he's the king of the old days when it comes to doing records in South Florida, no question about that.
At that time, my distributing company was starting to grow, and I was distributing ABC, Paramount, and quite a few other labels. So I used to bring in all these artists for promotion. At the time, there was Bob Green doing pop station, and on Black Radio there was Milton Smith, Butterball Smith, and King Coleman. Butterball was very, very big in Florida.
Hey, all I'm asking is for a little respect. Sock it to me, baby, sock it to me. Just a little respect when I come on. Hey! I ain't gonna do you wrong. No, never. How you doing? Woo! I ain't gonna do you wrong. Sing it, soul. Oh! Just a little respect.
I got very involved with Bob Green. I sort of became his unofficial manager. So I had to come up with an idea to generate some revenue for him, so we decided to do these dances, the hops. In those years, they called them hops.
In those days, they'd have a disc jockey from a station that would have what they would call a dance, and they would play records at the dance, and then they would have live bands at those dances. And that's one of the places that I first started, was singing with my band at those record hops. That's where I met Henry Stone, that's where I met Bob Green, and later on Rick Shaw, who were the disc jockeys that played the records, and also Butterball and King Coleman, all the disc jockeys that were on the black station.
I was very, very fortunate because with my distribution, I also was able to keep my ear to the street, and I knew what was happening. Again, it was always R&B music too. It was all R&B.
It was an exciting time. A lot of music coming out of Miami. Miami became a big R&B town because a lot of R&B music come out of here.
There was rock and roll, there was country, there was jazz, there were show groups, there was Latin bands, there was calypso music, soul music, you name it, it was here.
Of course, you have all these Cuban groups that they started what they call the Miami Sound. And they put together what the American pop music or the rock and roll at that time together with the Cuban music, and they began creating what is called the Miami Sound.
You're exposed to
many styles of music. That's why Miami, South Florida developed its own sound. The reggae with the rhythm and blues, with the jazz element, it's brought about people such as Jaco Pastorius, natives like that, that's extraordinary musicians. And you only have to hear a few notes, you say, South Florida. Well, the jazz scene in South Florida are more prominent. People was Cannonball Adderley and his brother Nat. He was my heavy influence as far as the saxophone player. China Vallis was probably responsible for most of our radio music. As far as being an authority on, you couldn't ask for a better DJ, if you want to call him that. He was more than that. He's a jazz historian.
I came here in January of 1962, and I was sent here by a radio station in Newport, Rhode Island, that opened up a station here in Miami. It's an R&B station primarily. I played some jazz, I played some blues, we mixed it up and all. And boy, I used to get calls and people say, wow, man, where you guys been? We don't hear this music.
Well, radio and the music business have a very interesting kind of relationship. I don't know of any other two businesses that rely on each other so dramatically as radio relies on the music business to supply product. But back then, radio was really the primary medium for exposing new music. And it was a kind of an arm-in-arm thing that we just marched into the sunset together and made hit records and got ratings on the radio and a lot of people to listen along the way, and everybody made a couple of bucks.
That particular time, it was pretty tremendous. I mean, pretty amazing. You had Martin Luther King getting killed. You had Kennedy getting killed. You had people protesting in the streets against Vietnam. There was just a total social upheaval.
A lot of us thought we could change the world. To some degree, I guess some of us did have some impact. It was a group of people gravitated towards one another. A lot of us were misfits, and we just, found a home with each other. And music was the glue that held it all together.
Coconut Grove had something at that time that was akin to the village. There was an atmosphere of kind of the kernels of hippiedom, the kernels of a kind of a laid-back, dope-smoking lifestyle that already appealed to me in New York City, and that could kind of be, it could be a non-stop continuum if you were down in Coconut Grove.
Literally, the Grove belonged to us, okay? It was a hamlet. It was a place of refuge, okay? It was full of musicians and people that played music, and we could ride bikes to each other's houses and just be there and spend hours, days, minutes playing, talking, interacting, sharing, and so on. It was a great time for that.
The Grove was an inspiration to people, and we all had some. I wrote a song called Jasmine Town years later, but we all had some emotional connection with the place, and it always came out with the music in some way or another. Yeah.
The Grove was alive with music then. It was magic, and it was magic. There were good times and bad times, surely, but we lived in a magic time.
Tear down the wall. Listen to freedom sing it out. Tear down.
Just as the Grove was beginning to flourish, Vince Martin was still spending time back in New York, in the Village, and that's where he met Fred Neil.
I met Fred one cold winter night at a place called the Third Side, a coffee house on Bleecker Street.
Fred was a writer. He was a brill building guy. He was writing, on contract. He was writing for Bobby Darin. He was writing for Roy Orbison, recorded one of his songs. But Fred came down and took to it, you know, immediately.
One of the great things that happened, certainly a great thing for the Grove, was that Freddie, in the process of playing New York, Freddie was influencing people. And then when Freddie pulled back and went to the Grove, he could draw those same people down to him. People like Steve Stills and then by extension any of the bands that he was playing with, Manassas, Crosby, Stills, Nash, all of those guys became associates and friends, and at one time or another collaborators with Fred. It created a little kind of a vortex in Coconut Grove that was not terribly unlike what had happened in Greenwich Village, where a group of clubs was enough to sustain a little core of musicians.
Singing with him was glorious. Singing with Freddie was one of the most, and will remain one of the most exhilarating things that I ever did in my life. He was a great singer, great musician. It's chemistry. It's chemistry. We had a chemistry. God knows, we had to have a chemistry. Okay, we did. We certainly enjoyed singing at each other, with each other, to each other. We used to sing at the Flick and close a show with a thing called "Look Over Yonder." Look over yonder, hot sun turning over, and it won't go down, and it won't go down. And it was almost a cappella. He'd play a little open string guitar on it. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking it was beautiful.
I began to discover there was a way that you got to the Grove. The way you got to the Grove was to watch Fred for a certain kind of a giveaway flinch where he was suddenly had it with East Coast weather. And Freddie usually would commandeer a car or somebody with a car and say, "Why are we here? We should be down in Coconut Grove. We could take a sailboat. We could be out in the bay." And you're listening to this, you're sitting on this cold corner of McDougal Street in a fairly skinny little leather, rough out cowhide jacket, and now this seduction would happen. And usually with a little bit of artificial assistance, there would be a non-stop drive from New York to Florida.
He was a wonderful guy. He was enormously generous, talented beyond anybody's wildest dreams. I mean, Fred's gone now, but I can still hear his voice in my head, and I will always go back to his music whenever I need whatever comfort that sort of provides. But Fred was the real lure for this place.
The time I spent in the Grove was incredibly great. Miami, it is more multicultural. It's a more interesting place to begin with. And the Grove remained something for those years that didn't have a substitute. So it's still that place for me. And sometimes I'm kind of out of place when I go there and look for it. But, I've still got it.
Moon over Miami, shine on my love.
It was the greatest place to grow up. It was a marvelous place, even if you were just those who went for the entertainment. If you're just one of those patrons that sat out front. Miami in the 50s, relative to music and live entertainment, was the most magical place in America.
Moon over Miami.
Music, of course, is universal language, and you start playing an instrument or singing a song or even humming, and people from all races and creeds will join in.
Well, it was a party every night, and I got paid to go to it.
Evolution Evolution is something that's happening minute by minute, second by second, and you can't just glance back and say, well, this happened yesterday and it was an important thing. But when you glance back maybe 15 years later or 20 years later, you can see that it was part of a continuum that you were part of.
Each song to the stars, I say moon over Miami.
A lot of dancing, happy times, a lot of work, doing what you love to do and getting, getting a couple of coins for it. And meeting all of these famous people. To me, it was just great.
Well, they say hindsight is the only perfect science. I think that historically, years from now, when you look back on the 60s as the evolution of music was going on, it will probably be the most powerful decade in history. You could understand all the words, nobody got killed, and it was cool.
Yeah, I say moon over Miami. You know we're waiting for a little love, a little kiss.